It's always just between us, all right?
Great to have you on Between Us and 938 Live. As always, we're sharing inspiring stories that will move and uplift you. And of course, my guest in the studio today is a gold medal Paralympian. Yip Pin Xiu is here with us. And Pin Xiu, despite being born with muscular dystrophy, which is a genetic disorder that slowly breaks down the muscles, but since Pin Xiu was 5, she started swimming to improve her health. And since then, we can say the rest is history, because Pin Xiu won Singapore's first ever Olympic gold medal at the Beijing 2008 Paralympics. And the 50-meter backstroke finals, we're going to find out more about what keeps Pin Xiu going, what drives her, and what she's most passionate about today. Pin Xiu, so happy to have you in the studio.
My pleasure. My utmost pleasure to be here.
Really excited to hear your story, but of course, you know, it's not always been very easy for you growing up as well, because as we mentioned earlier, muscular dystrophy is a condition you are afflicted with. What was that like for you when you were, as far as you can remember? Has it always been something that you had to struggle with?
I'll share a little bit about my story growing up. My condition is muscular dystrophy. So it's a condition which constantly deteriorates. So when I was younger, I was a healthy baby. At the age of 2, my mom found out that I couldn't walk normally. So they brought me to the doctors, and the doctors couldn't diagnose my condition until I was a bit older. So it first affected my legs when I was 2 and my hands when I was 5. But since it was a condition which deteriorates and my muscles slowly waste, I was still able to walk until I was 13, which was also when I started competitive swimming.
Right.
So with muscular dystrophy, the older I get, the lesser it deteriorates. So it's looking really hopeful.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually maybe the worst is over in a way, because, the most deterioration has already happened, and you've been keeping very strong and very healthy as well through swimming. You picked up swimming at the age of 5.
Yes.
Tell us about, was it love at first sight, or was it something you grew to love?
I loved the water so much. It was more of like a family activity, more than physiotherapy at the point of time. And I was interested in swimming because both my elder brothers would swim. And initially at the start, I would just play at the baby pool alone. And after a while, it got really boring. And I think even as a kid, I was a very active baby. So I asked my mom if I could learn swimming as well, to join them on their swims. And so she asked the instructor, the instructor agreed. So I remember the very, very first lesson, I'm pretty sure that I didn't even have like proper swimming attire.
Oh dear. So you wore your clothes into the pool?
Yes, I wore my clothes into the pool when I was 5. So instead of just swimming, she made the lesson really fun. We did crab walk sideways, like making me hop like a bunny around just to get more comfortable with the water. And I think from then onwards, I fell in love with the water, because on land there are so many steps, and at the point of time, it was a little bit difficult to walk. I had to wear braces. So I needed a little bit of support. But in the water, it was so free. There were no hindrances. I was pretty much the same as every other kid, and I loved it.
Right. Sounds amazing. Tell us about, your initial experiences as well when you went to school, things like that. Did you mentioned obstacles as well. When you were not in the water, there were a lot of things, I suppose, that you felt frustrated by, perhaps because of the condition. What were some of those things that you felt was really, really difficult to deal with?
When I was younger, I guess the condition was most prominent to me when I was in primary school. So at that point of time, I would say, as long as you are different from the other children, you would be ostracized, you would be bullied, and I kind of suffered that fate.
Right.
But so I tried to hide my condition. But like when I go to tuition, I wear jeans and try to hide my braces and everything. But I guess I'm a rather positive person, so I don't really remember what happened or how the children back then bullied me and everything. And I just live on and still continue to be happy, because there's no use harping on bad memories, because it doesn't bring you anywhere, it doesn't make you happier. So I just forget about all this and live life to the fullest. And I guess at that point of time, all those who were bullying me, now they look at me, they would be, I don't know how they'll feel.
I'm pretty sure they'll feel really silly, but at the same time, children, they don't really understand the nuances of how it feels like to be, to feel different or to feel ostracized. But at the same time as well, we're talking about, you being stronger as a result of this, all this, ostracism, challenges you had as a young person because of the positivity, which is also something we want to talk about a little bit more, and how that's helped you in swimming also. So you found escape in the water. You found that you were free and you were completely able to just be yourself there. What was some of your initial, training like? Did you always want to be a competitive swimmer, or did you just feel like it was just a lot of fun and you wanted to be there?
Initially, it was a lot of fun. How I got into competitive swimming, when I first started off leisurely, it was just once a week. Every Sunday morning, I had this very nice golden brown tan.
You still do, actually.
So, when I was 12, I was spotted by somebody from the Singapore Disability Sports Council, and he invited me to join a competition, a local competition, in which I did pretty well. I got 6 gold medals, so I was immediately brought into the elite team. So from then on, I started my trainings with them when I was 12. So it started off with 4 times a week. It was still pretty simple. I remember my very first session with them. It was a 2-hour session. We did like a bit of assessment, some drills, some training, and on the way back in the car, I fell asleep.
It was so completely knackered.
Yeah. So, leading up to the Paralympic Games when I was 16, training increased to 12 times a week.
Wow.
So, and at that point of time, I was about to take my O-level. So it was swimming, school, swimming, home. Normally people say school will be their second home, but I think for me the pool was.
Oh, definitely. We're going to hear more about the challenges about that as well, because it is definitely not a walk in the park when it comes to preparing for an event like that, and also having it be such a big part of your life. How has that moved my guest today? Yip Pin Xiu is going to tell us more how that's moved her and driven her to become the person that she is today, and also what she feels most strongly for. All that coming right up in just a bit. Speaking today to Yip Pin Xiu, is gold medal Paralympian here in the studio today. Stay tuned on Between Us.
Your relationships in Between Us. Our soulful encounter is always just between us on 938 Live.
I'm chatting today with Yip Pin Xiu, is gold medal Paralympian, and of course Yip Pin Xiu has been telling us a little bit more about growing up with muscular dystrophy, a condition that she's had to struggle with at the start, but somehow found freedom from in the water. But Pin Xiu, it's not been an easy climb to the top and getting that gold medal in the sense, because you mentioned trainings took up the bulk of your time outside school. Did you feel like it was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure? Did you feel burnout? What was that like for you?
It was definitely a little bit of stress. I do remember at a point of time I felt like giving up, because I put pressure on myself to want to study harder, to try to get better grades, and at the same time training was taking up time. So there would be times where I would like to go home earlier to study but I guess coaches also have their own objectives. So my coaches would want me to stay in the pool to swim more. Yeah, so it was a lot of me pressuring myself. Yeah, so but after a while, I got to the point where I realized that there are a lot of things where I cannot control. So I decided not to worry about all the things I couldn't control and to focus on things I could. So when I was in the pool, I focused on training, my mind was there, my body was there. So when I was back home, I focused on studying. So it was, I would say I learned a lot throughout this entire process. It was a very good learning journey. So I learned discipline, determination, how to sacrifice, and a lot of prioritizing my own time.
Focus definitely, I think, was essential to you winning the gold medal, and of course, getting through the O-levels. Most parents are already freaking out about the O-levels on its own. Tell us about how your family was like in terms of supporting your swimming career as well as schoolwork, because most parents would be worried when they...
Yeah. My parents, they're the most supportive people ever. At that point of time, they knew very well that sports was best when done at a younger age, and it was only a one-time opportunity. The Paralympics only comes once every 4 years. But if in any case I failed my O-levels at that point of time, I could just take it the next year. So they didn't put any pressure on me to study at all. It was a lot of what I wanted to do at that point of time. Like if I wanted to study, I study. If I wanted to train, I train. So with their support and less pressure on me, it was easier.
Yeah.
And even like my dad would wake up at 5 a.m. to send me for morning trainings. So without their support, I would not. I honestly can say that I would not have achieved what I have in life.
That's amazing though, because you actually bring up the idea that having them support you and giving you the space to decide for yourself what you wanted to prioritize eventually actually led you to success. A lot of parents out there might be listening now and thinking, my son or daughter has an interest in certain things. It could be sports, it could be the arts, it could be any hobby that they have, and they also worry about schoolwork. And for you feel that when you have parents who understand and give you space, that has helped you.
Definitely. And I guess it's also not always about education. It's more of being an all-rounder, and through education you learn things, but when you're outside in the real world, you learn a lot more things, a lot more soft skills. And that's important for growing up.
And definitely in terms of you juggling all these things, that's yet another really important skill that we'll definitely all need as people going into the workforce as well. So giving you space was a great thing that your parents did for you. We'll also find out more who else was sources of support, what motivates Yip Pin Xiu, and what actually got her to win Singapore's first ever Olympic gold medal at the Beijing 2008 Paralympics. We're going to hear more as well about what Yip Pin Xiu is passionate about. All this coming up in just a bit. Chatting with my guest today, gold medal Paralympian Yip Pin Xiu.
Man is a knot into which relationships are tied, but nothing comes between us. On 938 Live. It's always just between us, all right?
Thanks for staying tuned to Between Us here at 938 Live. Chatting today with my guest who's gold medal Paralympian Yip Pin Xiu. She's just 22 years old, full of dreams, full of passion and drive. And Pin Xiu has been telling us about what it was like growing up, how she found her passion for swimming, and how juggling schoolwork and all the expectations she had for herself has actually shaped her to be the person that she is today. Now, Pin Xiu, tell us a bit more about what motivates you, what drives you even today as you're in uni and you're trying to still pursue your dreams.
Mainly now it's passion. But motivation always starts off as something extrinsic. So at that point of time, I guess it was because I really liked the water, and then also maybe because my brothers were there and everything, so I went for sessions regularly. Then when I started competitive swimming, it was more like I enjoyed spending time with my teammates. It was a very, very fun bunch of people. I just mixed the two together. Fun bunch of people. And my coaches also, I guess after time they become family. Yeah, but now it's mainly because it's something I really want to do. It's very satisfying to look at my results, my timings, and to see that I'm still improving. And I know after all these years, it's really hard to, for example, if I take a break, it's really hard to continue going back in. So there's a lot of motivation needed. But I always tell myself that all of this hard work will eventually pay off. And the timings, the places it's bringing me to really keeps me motivated to want to train, to want to become even better.
Right, and speaking of timings as well, you beat your opponent at this point at the Olympic gold medal games at Beijing 2008. You actually beat her by quite a bit. You did a 58.75 seconds ahead of your British counterpart, right? She actually got a 1 minute 6 seconds. So you're still pushing yourself. You're not slowing down. You're not having other things that you're passionate about. You're still going strong with swimming.
Yes, the scene is really different now. Like there are a lot of new people coming and catching up and everything. So we always have to be on our feet to train even harder, find even better ways to help us improve. And I guess that's the challenge. It's a thrill. It's not sitting back and being complacent and thinking, oh, I've done this, I'm gonna do it next time. But it's always about still going out there and fighting for what I really want. Yeah. But the Beijing Games was extremely memorable for me. It was probably my best games ever.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I can still recall how it feels like swimming that race where I won the gold medal. I remember after 25 meters, because as a backstroker, once if I dip my head back down a little bit, I can actually see from the peripheral vision, I can see the rest of my competitors. So at 25 meters, there is a line above for the swimmers to know that we are passing 25. So I dipped my head in and I was like, oh crap, there's nobody there. So it was either I was going too fast or going too slow. So I chose to think that I was going too slow and I sped up all the way. So when I watched the video, it's actually really funny because like I could see consistent strokes and then after that like zoom, 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 zoom. So from then onwards, I was nicknamed the helicopter by my teammates and my coach. Yeah, so
interesting. That must have been such a happy moment for you, a very memorable one when you actually won the medal. Right now when you think about and looking back at it, what were some of the most important things that you kept on your mind and in your heart when you kept pushing yourself?
During the trainings itself?
Through the hardest times that you had to go through.
Basically, I didn't worry. I didn't worry so much about the end result. It wasn't so much of the pressure that, I have to win a gold medal and everything. It was more of enjoying the process and knowing that with every lap that I swim, I will improve. So it was, as I said, it wasn't so much about controlling what I couldn't control, so much of like, I couldn't control what my competitors were, how fast they were going to swim. All I could do was focus on my own timings. So with that focus, I tried to push myself harder and improve even more. Yeah.
But you are your biggest competitor. It's really not about beating everyone else and comparing yourself because you're just going to be unhappy and you can put unnecessary pressure on yourself. If you were to talk to, others who have the similar condition or who feel held back in some way by any condition or illness, what do you think are some things that tend to pull you out of a very difficult time? What are some things you can tell people who have given up or feel like there's nothing they can do about this situation anymore?
It's always in the mindset. It's your mentality. If people tell you cannot. So normally when you're in a situation where you are not feeling too well or you're at a disadvantage, people will tell you, just give up. It's not really possible for you to do this. But I would say that in life we should always, this is going to sound very cliche, but we should always just go for our dreams. Go for what we're passionate about and know that as long as we put in enough effort, results will show. And so don't let people tell you cannot do things. You yourself have to believe that you can, and as long as you believe you can, you will.
We're going to hear more as well about, Pin Xiu's outlook for the future, what she's hoping to achieve for herself, and also in terms of what she feels strongly about in terms of the Paralympics and, of course, supporting athletes with any kind of physical disability. We're going to hear a little bit more from Pin Xiu in just a moment. Gold medal Paralympian Yip Pin Xiu in the studio today on Between Us. Stay tuned.
Reset your relationships in Between Us. Our soulful encounter is always just between us on 938 Live.
My guest today on Between Us, Yip Pin Xiu, is a gold medal Paralympian here in Singapore, 22 years old and full of dreams, full of life, full of drive. Pin Xiu, tell us a little bit more about your future plans. I mean, what are you thinking? What are you hoping to do apart from swimming, apart from, of course, right now finishing your degree? What do you look forward to?
It still seems really far away. I have 3 more years till I finish my degree.
Yeah.
I do intend to train full-time for a while because I don't feel like I've reached my peak yet, and I really just want to see how far I can go before I eventually retire from the scene. But at the same time, I want to bring more awareness to disability sports in Singapore. Our para-athletes train very hard, so I think there should be some form of equality and as well as public awareness for para-athletes.
Right.
Yeah.
What more do you think can be done, Pin Xiu? I mean, right now, what do you feel as a para-athlete yourself? What is lacking and what more do you think can be done?
I've been swimming competitively for 10 years, and throughout these 10 years, I've actually seen improvement from the Beijing 2008 Paralympic Games up till the London 2012 one. And there has been more awareness after our achievements, and I would say that I'm really happy to see that. However, of course, we want to see more. We want to see the scene continue growing, and with the ASEAN Para Games next year in home ground, it's going to be really exciting because I think a lot of people have not seen in real life before our para athletes doing sports. So it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, and it's going to open up a lot of mindsets, a lot of eyes. And what else could be done other than raising public awareness? It's probably also the funding for the sports itself, and it's important to me as a para-athlete to see this grow, because sports has helped me so much. It has. I used to be really shy, really unconfident, and I would say like without friends in school. But now I am totally changed through with the help of this journey. And I would say sports not only impacts people with disabilities, but also people, just everybody in general. Sports just brings a whole new perspective. It drives you. It gives you a lot more value, as in like character to yourself. And so, if there is an improvement, increment of funds and everything, we could do more with it as well. Yeah.
Definitely. And speaking of voices, coming out and speaking for your sport and speaking passionately about what you do and what the benefits of these are. And my guest today is Yip Pin Xiu. She's gold medal Paralympian, 22 years old, and sharing with us her personal journey and how she's going to go forward, winning more gold medals, I hope, Pin Xiu.
I hope as well.
Great to have you here on the program today. This has been Between Us on 938 Live. I'm Angela Lim. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Man is a knot into which relationships are tied, but nothing comes between us. On 938 Live.